So it's 8:59, we're gonna start with oath of office, if you're ready, Doug.
Yep.
So we're gonna swear you in as deputy.
Yep.
We're gonna swear you in as clerk.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start by, you both start by saying aye and then your name.
Okay.
I, Douglas Prescott,
I, Woodard McNiven,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
and sincerely swear
and sincerely swear
and affirm
and affirm
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
and impartially discharge
and impartially discharge
and perform all the duties
and perform all the duties
incumbent on me
incumbent on me
as
as clerk,
as deputy village clerk
according to the best of my abilities
according to the best of my abilities,
and agreeable to the rules and regulations
agreeable to the rules and regulations
of this Constitution
of this
of this
Constitution
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
All right. All right, Doug, you've been promoted, I've been demoted.
Today's the 16th.
16. Yep.
And I think just so that everybody knows, Bob Ingram came into the office yesterday and he was sworn in.
Oh,
So-
good.
So he has also been sworn in as moderator.
Great, because he's going to Puerto Vallarta for the next couple of weeks.
Yes.
So he won't be around. Yeah, I asked if he could make this meeting, but he said, nope, he's gotta go do babysitting. And,
Yes.
okay, good. Morning. How are you?
How are you? April 16th. Good morning.
So I'd like to call the Otherwise Board of Commissioners meeting of April 16th, 2024 to order at 9:02. And the first thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. We're gonna add to item number 3, with the manifests are a transfer request to transfer money from the water account to the operating account,
The project account.
project account, the Rhineac Tech project account.
Yes.
And we will also discuss Ralph's going into the water when we get to DPW, but that's an open area. All in favor, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda, need a second,
Second?
Nancy seconds. All in favor of the agenda as modified?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0.
Okay.
Next is approval of minutes. We have the minutes of April 2nd and last week, April 9th. We had a meeting on April 12th, but I don't know if you had a time to review that. You did?
Yeah, went over it briefly, yep, got it here too.
I did not.
Okay, so we'll approve those next week. So, let's do them one by one here. Do I have a motion to, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 2nd, 2024.
Quick one last.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Nancy. Any comments on the second? All in favor of the minutes as written on the second?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Next is the minutes of April 9th, which is last Tuesday. I'll make a motion to approve them for discussion.
Second.
Seconded by Nancy. I sent some, are these incorporated my changes to the minutes?
Correct.
Yes.
Good. So I'm happy with them because
Yeah, they
I got
look
my.
good.
Yep. Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0.
Excellent.
So at 9:04, we'll move on to manifest, and we'll start with the payroll manifest.
Was anything sent out? I didn't see anything in my emails on that. Which I know we're still,
I don't think we had a chance to,
yeah.
we
This
may
is-
not be in that business
No,
yet.
we're not there, I know we're not there yet, so that's what I'm saying, I'm not,
So why don't you take this
okay?
and make a motion based on what we're approving, so we can discuss this. Is there a total?
Yes, the total is 904617 for the payroll manifest, covering the period of April 8th to 19th.
Let's do that first, don't read a second.
I won't,
So what's the total again?
$9,046.17. I'll make a motion to approve this.
Second.
Motion by Board approved by, seconded by Nancy.
Oh, wait a minute.
Does this catch Tony up on his stipends?
It does.
Very good. We'll let Tony be the final judge of that.
Yes, and hopefully we added up his time and a half hours correctly.
Okay.
Tony
Carol
can-
asked me
Tony
about-
can be the judge of that.
Carol asked me about the storm, how I always did. And I was thinking, that was a long time ago.
Feels like it.
No.
What, last Thursday, a week ago Thursday?
Yeah,
Wait.
yeah, it was last week.
I got a question. Let me just make sure this is correct, and I'm reading it correctly.
Good, take
Okay,
your time.
all right. So when we take a look at the employees, that's gross. What we care about is adjusted gross pay, which is 9134.14 less taxes withheld minus 87.97. That equals the 9046.17, which we just approved, but it's not adding in the commissioner's pay, is it? Are we supposed to add across here and that? What am I trying to,
Yeah, I thought
this,
they did.
this is strictly this column.
But that should include all the paychecks.
Probably does. Let me do it this way. If I
Okay.
add, I'm just double checking. Excuse my
Which is a good thing.
No,
still
it's a good
lack
thing.
of familiarity with how these manifest themselves.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
Actually, they've proven that untrue.
I'm familiar with that.
Well, no, if you add this way, you only come up with 3,912.
There's 2 pages to that.
Yeah. Let's. All right.
And it looked like the system used the net for each to total.
Okay, maybe this. If you go, okay, so salaries executive 1150, that's all in there. Okay. Divide by 3. That's. No, that's gross pay. 277.05 times 3. That's us. 831. So who else is? Mark. You. Me. At 300, this is gross, 300 times 3 is only 900. Why is that reading 1150? What am I missing here?
Because you got Tony.
No.
Oh,
I'm going across this way. Right, Dinah's in there somewhere, right?
Diner's check is for 230.88, and it gross is,
She's on page 2.
250. Okay, Dinah, the gross, I'm just gonna go with the gross now. Okay. So the top line is all three commissioners and Dinah. Okay. Then full-time admin, yep. Then, I should have brought a ruler here. Hourly, 2035, 2062. On call. Okay, so it's really this column, that's what I'm more concerned with. I can't worry about these because we're missing like Dinah over here. I'm not adding this way, I'm adding this way.
Right.
All right, and Tony was the adjusted. Minus 206 for retirement.
are these,
Equals
Extra
minus
copies of
tax
the-
withholdings or taxes withheld?
It's generally just portions here.
okay,
We don't need them.
it doesn't fit?
We don't need them.
Okay,
We
gotcha,
just printed them, but we didn't wanna get
Right.
rid of it in case we needed it.
okay.
Right. Yeah, it automatically sets up stubs as well as the checks.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, the net pay is as we stated before. I'm gonna trust it. It's just, I'm doing addition this way, and sooner or later I gotta learn how to do it this way across horizontally. But I believe this is correct, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's just for the
I'm
interim
sure it
until we
is.
can
The-
get,
Excel isn't gonna screw up at the math, or QuickBooks isn't, but
well, it's QuickBooks.
it's getting familiar with, I know. I can't tell you
Yeah.
how many times I thought I caught QuickBooks lying to me, and then I went back and did it manually and said, nope, it's me.
So, the motion's been made and seconded, and I guess we need to vote on the gross, the net amount that we stated. $9,046.17. How do you vote?
Aye.
3-0.
Yeah.
Now we have an operating manifest?
That's in here too?
Mhm.
All right. That's the sum of all these checks I see sitting around here. These are paid employee. And where's the,
So what is the dollar amount we're voting for on the operating manifest?
I don't think I have the operating manifest. I'm seeing just
Printed it.
nothing but employees here.
The Eversource information?
Everything in here is all having to do with employees in this package right here.
Yeah, we didn't pay any other. We didn't pay any other.
Right.
Bills?
But do we have an operating manifest to review the vendor payments?
The operating is Eversource, and we got a disconnect notice for the DPW well. And we are showing overdue on all the pump houses and the General Electric for the district. So the thought process is that this would be done not by check, but on the phone, talking to Eversource to make sure everything gets brought up to date
With the bank card.
with the bank card.
And do we know what that dollar amount is?
I think,
We didn't add it all up.
okay.
They're each individually
So these are,
separated out.
no, we made out checks the last go around to Eversource.
The check that was mailed March 30 or 25th.
25th, correct.
Is not showing on the Eversource records.
It is.
Oh, it is?
It is.
Oh, okay.
As of 4/2, those payments were applied.
Oh, okay.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm concerned, did they give an ultimatum?
No, she got a disconnect notice.
No, we got a disconnect notice.
But they haven't actually disconnected it yet, that's what I'm saying.
No, but they're going to in a couple days.
Right,
So
that's
what do we need, do we need to vote anything today?
I think we need to vote to head
To
this
a-
off in the past right away.
Yes.
Right.
This would
To
be
approve
catastrophic.
us
We-
calling in payments using the card.
Without a number, we're gonna vote to,
We can add it up if we want to.
Yeah.
We know how much we owe, right? But-
I can call them out and you can add them up if you
Okay,
want.
but did I understand that there was a payment made in March, but it's not reflecting on their payments?
No, actually,
it
she
is.
said it is showing now.
Confirmed that April 2nd that those payments applied.
So why would they be threatening us with disconnect if they got a very recent
Because,
payment?
because apparently I don't know. I can't speak to that. I wasn't here. I don't know.
Right. Something was already there as overdue.
Correct.
All right,
It's important you figure out a total, because there is a daily limit on the card.
There's a what?
daily limits.
Oh, very good.
I just don't even.
all right, well, I think we, just like I talked with Dawson last week and, begged forgiveness for late charges and explained why they hadn't been paid in a while, I think Eversource needs to know. And I'm shocked that they would threaten disconnect.
It's one account that they threatened to disconnect. It's not all accounts. It was one account.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've done it before.
that's true, that's right, we got multiple Eversource, but no.
So we should be voting on numbers that we haven't voted on previously. It's not that we voted, sent a check and the check disappeared. We need to vote a new number today.
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
okay,
So do you wanna read numbers
Yes.
off that need to be added up, and do you wanna
Yeah.
add them?
yeah, my glasses back on, and let's do this.
Yes.
All right. Shoot.
Okay. $2,816.25.
2,816.25.
$55.60.
$55.60.
$74.27.
$74.27.
$42.93.
Plus $42.93.
2,225.
222.
2,225 and 60 cents.
Okay, 2,225 and 60 cents. Okay.
1,071 and 90 cents.
$1,071.90.
1,377 and 26 cents.
1,377
And 26 cents.
plus, okay.
446 and 97 cents.
446 and 97 cents.
337
Stop a minute.
337.96
and 96 cents.
plus, okay.
So the public's getting a good taste of how much we spend on electricity, huh?
Yes.
2,225
2,225.
and 60 cents.
That number was already used.
Let's,
You read that number off.
7068. Let's look.
all right. How about, was that repeated?
Exactly.
Or it's the exact same amount?
Exact same
It
number
is.
that you read
It's the
off.
same account number. I printed it twice.
Okay, so
So
minus,
minus
Go ahead.
2,225.60.
2,225.60?
Correct.
2,200.
$25.60.
Equals. Okay, so on my first go-round, I come
Yeah.
up with $8,448.74. Was anyone doing this alongside with me?
Yep. I didn't add it, but I got the number.
What, got the total, the grand total?
Not the total, I just wrote down the individual numbers. If you want to recheck, I can read it.
Yeah, I want to write that, because let's just double check. I always, it's the old principle of, measure twice, cut once. So read them off to me. I'll write them down this time, so before I add them.
Okay. 2,816.25.
Okay? $2,816.25.
Yes.
Correct. $55.60.
$55.60.
$74.27.
$74.27.
$42.93.
$42.93.
$2,225.60.
$2,225.60.
Yep. $1,071.90.
$1,071.97.
Yep.
90, not 97.
97 or 90?
90. 90.
90. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, is that the lot?
1,000.
Guess not. Guess not.
$377.26.
$1,377.26.
Correct.
Is that the lot?
$446.97.
$446.97.
One more.
One more. $337.96.
$337.96. All right, let me just add this up one more time. $8,448.74.
That's what you got the first time.
Good. Well, like I said,
So this looks like it's 2 months. So that means we average $4,224 for the 2 months, each month. So a motion on the floor has been made and seconded for a number of, do we make a motion second, or are we waiting for this number?
Well, Nancy motioned it.
Nancy motion $8,448.74. What is seconds it?
second.
Okay.
All in favor of $8,448.74 going to Eversource to keep the lights and water pumping?
I
Aye.
3-0.
don't know about you, but I like my water.
And you like drinking it with the lights on?
Now, I can call the bank and ask them to raise that to cover it all? Is that what you would like me to do?
What's the maximum per day?
2,500?
And there's one bill that needs to be paid immediately,
Yes.
Yes,
and then if it's the maximum one, it's 28,
correct.
which is probably the one they want.
That's the big one they want, and the rest of them were showing as overdue when she was talking to the
Yep. There was
the Eversource.
Yep.
And you don't get a person anymore.
So what can you raise it to, and what makes sense against these numbers? You'd have to raise it to 8,500. You can do that? And they would do that in a day?
They do that in an hour.
So can you do
Do
that?
you want me to do that? Yep.
Yep.
If there's any trouble, I'll let you know. But it needs to be up to at least 3,000 to get that bad one out. Because that was,
Right.
so I have to raise it out there.
There's no local Eversource branch in the Farmington Valley, the Mount Washington Valley? No.
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't know if people pay their bills at the Ossipee office or not. I've never been there.
Yeah, I've never been there.
Okay,
That's,
That wasn't fun.
No.
what else could fall apart on us? Just about everything so far. We're learning what,
There's still a steep learning curve here.
I have some stuff to report on that I didn't know until the debit card was gonna default on other accounts. So I'll tell you about that when I get to my report.
Mm-hmm.
Mark,
Yes,
maybe good to point out for viewers that this situation with Eversource was not administrative oversight or any error on part of the board. It was, as I understand it, it was caused by the debit card being shut down in association with the
No.
bank account?
No.
It wasn't, okay.
we never paid it with a debit card before.
Okay.
We're just doing that now as an emergency measure.
Right.
Right, but we did lose our bank accounts and had to reestablish that, and we had no internet, weren't getting messages.
well,
It was-
back up. What I'm hearing is there was a payment made in March. There was a payment due in March.
Yes.
And that was before Jennifer got here.
Correct.
That was before the systems, before the bank notified us of the cyber attack. And we don't know what happened to that. That's the first step.
Right.
The second one is because our computer systems were down because of the bank and the cyber attack on our computer systems. We didn't have QuickBooks for a while, and that's when these were due. So we didn't know we were 2 payments behind until they discovered it with a disconnect notice. That's the story.
Yep.
The debit card wasn't in play on this one. You need a program to follow this game.
You do.
At least an Excel spreadsheet.
Right, but I'm just saying, we still had a whole concatenation of events that have led to these sort of,
So yep,
Yep.
these crises that all of a sudden hit us.
so the next thing to do before we move on to more relaxing subject of the DPW would be
Well, you think.
transfer
The
request.
transfer request.
Transfer request.
Don't hold me to that.
Wishful thinking.
You have to put your best amazing Kreskin voice on for us.
Right, so, am I ready?
No,
No.
we
Oh,
gotta do this
right,
transfer.
okay.
The tension isn't over yet.
Yeah, right.
So we have the Dawson bill, and it pays $4,500, right, that's the retainage?
What are you talking about?
Right, we
That's-
have, when I talked to Abby, I think her name was Abigail, she said, after we make these 2 payments, we have one final payment of $4,500 left.
Okay, so this check amount is $15,985 even.
And that's for the PRV project, which gets paid out of the Rhineac tank
Correct.
project that started 4 years ago, 5
3
years
years ago?
This is the last thing in.
Right.
So this is to transfer money out of the Rhineac tank project account to the operating account to cover the bill that we paid
Yes,
on Friday. with the
yes.
vote. Do you follow that, Woody?
Yeah, now should we add that final $4,500, or we wait till that bill comes due and do it then? Because there will be one more due of
I don't
40.
think you transfer before you actually have to pay. Would you say so?
No, no one transfer till it's actually done.
Yes. that's-
Right,
Okay, so just transfer the amount that we actually paid on Friday.
yep,
So I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer request of $15,985 from the Rhineac tank project to the
operating
operating
account.
account that we paid that check out of.
Yep,
I'll second that.
Seconded by Woody. Any further discussion? All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Aye, 3-0.
May I interject something?
yes.
Sure.
There was a second check to Dawson for $10,000 $6.75
For water hookups.
for water hookups.
Those two water
Thank you,
hookups.
for doing that, for separating them out, to make my life easier.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that amount will be taken out of our water extension account capital reserve, so that's just one more paperwork thing we'll do.
Another transfer to be done next week?
Oh, yeah, we can do it next week, but it's just, we have to pay that too.
Okay,
I'll help you with that if you need it, dear.
yes.
So did you understand that one?
No, not really.
We paid Dawson 2 checks.
Right.
The one we just fixed where the money was coming from properly was the $15,000 for the PRV.
Right?
The 2 water hookups get funded differently. They have to come out of the water assessment fund, where the $10,000 for those 2 hookups individually went in. So there's $20,000
Water
put into the
extension
water assessment
capital
fund.
reserve.
And we pay for the water hookup. So now we have to transfer the money out of the water assessment fund.
Nope, water extension capital reserve.
It's already been moved into the capital reserve.
So
Okay.
now we
Can we
need to,
talk about this?
Yes, she said she'll come to the office and
Yep.
show you this, because you've never seen this before.
Right.
and we're gonna change it soon.
Yeah, we're still in the process of changing over to that third account.
And we're gonna talk about the TAN agreement and the attorney. And that might be another reason for you to want to show Jennifer cash flow reports, because that's gonna require a cash flow report, but we'll talk about that after, when we get to it, which is signature items.
And I'd just like to add, when it came to Dawson, when I spoke with the accounts receivable person, I think her name was Abigail,
It is.
once I explained our situation, she was more than willing to just forgive the late charges, and as long as we paid by the end of the month. So therefore, and I'll take that up for action myself, no problem, is to follow up this week to ensure that they receive those 2 checks. Because the last thing we need to have happen is the post office screwed up somewhere, and we didn't follow up, they didn't get the checks, and all of a sudden, they're really pissed off at us at the end of the month.
So
I
one
don't
thing
think
we
that's
have
gonna
to
be the
do
case.
is understand that this $4,500 does get Dawson back to actually finish the project.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
finishing makes it all work, so we paid tens of thousands of dollars into something that's sitting there for this last leg to actually be done, for it to all work. Right now, we've made a major investment, and it's not doing anything until, so this better be motivation. We need a date for when he's coming back to do this.
Okay, but that's why they call it retainage, because in the construction accounting world, you don't, what's that?
We don't have any more retainage for Dawson.
The 4,500 is what she said was the retainage. That's what Abigail told me.
I'm not sure you're talking about the same thing. Otherwise retains usually 10% of the total project for a year after the project's completed for warranty. That's what we call retainage.
Yes.
And retainage, when she was talking about it, was we were retaining out of what she was presenting to us with, that's what I need to understand, is the total bill, including unfinished work.
And we need to get that clarified.
Yes.
From what I understood from her, if I got it, the retainage, we were allowed to keep that 4,500 until the work was complete, at which point they would bill us.
That's different than retainage to
Okay.
make sure we got 1-year warranty on the work.
Yeah.
That's why sorry I interrupted.
No, that's a good thing to know. I mean, in my
So
experience.
when she said we don't have retainage, that's what she means, is
Okay.
that
Right.
our definition
At the
of it,
beginning of the.
which is usually right in the
project,
contract. how much
Yes,
we're
oh,
holding
there,
back.
I'm sure that wasn't in the contract, so.
No, it was not.
So,
We had retainage at the beginning of the project, one for the water tank, one for
Yes.
the blah, blah, blah. But those are all paid out, so we don't have a 45,000 in a retainage account.
And this is
But
actually, this is bizarre, because this work of Upper Lakeview and Lakeview is being done in a separate contract from the Rhinebeck Tank Project contract, which was encumbering everything, including 3 PRVs, which I never understood how it was we needed a separate contract when it already had the 3 PRVs. But maybe someday we'll get the answer to that too, but we need to move on.
Right.
All set on that? We're gonna go to,
my point was, I just want to make sure that they receive the checks and that we're in their good graces again.
and you believe we are.
Well, if we see the checks clear, then we know, but,
Okay.
you know, it's usually a good idea to follow up.
Yep.
And I'm more than happy to do that.
At
Good.
9:34, we will move on to DPW report.
Okay,
Morning, Jeff.
good morning. So since the storm, we've been doing quite a bit. As the snow melted away, that big tree that fell into Little P, there was a big hole. So we had to fill that with some 6-inch minus for erosion purposes. Otherwise, that would have all washed into the pond and eroded the road there. So we did that. We took the boards out, put them in on Wednesday. And as we were down there putting the boards in, we realized that the bridge, the railing to the bridge was about falling off. So we got some tool stuff and lagged that back in to secure that. It's nice and sturdy now. So that, we fixed that. We put the clamp out there to mark that 7 inches.
The clamp is on the right-hand side.
Yep, right near the the other marker, the numbered.
Is it just a steel clamp?
Just a steel clamp
Metallic?
on the, yep,
I was there this morning. I gotta look closer, but okay.
yeah, it's right there. It's just a hose clamp.
Okay.
But that's right there, so that's marking that. We started stripping down some trucks. We had to strip down the 2018
Before you
Ram.
leave the dam, what's the situation with boards in, boards out?
The 2 boards we pulled out
They're still out.
on Friday. I
Okay,
did pull
good.
boards
Okay.
Well,
Friday.
what happened was, I made a motion that we pull the boards because I had measurements that the water at that point was right at the top of the measuring stick. I mean,
Right.
right even with it. So we made a motion that DPW should pull the boards if they feel safe doing it.
Right.
My first conversation with Jeff was, I don't feel safe doing this. I said, okay, we're gonna have to ride this out. But Jeff gave me a call later that afternoon, and he said he and Tony were able to remove them, which was great. Thank you.
And I just want to make sure we clarified that because we need to make sure that the draft minutes of the 12th say that. Because it did say if it's safe and.
It did say it there.
Might have said
Yeah.
it's not safe, so the boards weren't pulled, and the boards were pulled.
Right.
Well,
So-
the draft version says, Woodard McNiven motions to take out 2 boards for water leveling, but only if it could be done safely, per Jeff DiMartino. It was not safe to do this at the time. Mark Graffam seconds the motion passes, but
See, that part about it not being safe doesn't
we
sound
didn't,
like.
we didn't know that at the
they
time.
went
We
forward
made,
and
we
did
made
it.
the motion first, and when the motion was made, I think you already took off, I called Jeff, and he was a little hesitant to do it, but then several hours later, he gave me a call and said, mission accomplished.
So we could strike the confusion out of that and clarify it in today's minutes because he's saying the 2 boards came out.
Right.
And it happened after that meeting, so it shouldn't be in those minutes anyway.
Right, it happened
Okay.
at roughly 3 in the afternoon or so,
Right, about 2:30 I pulled those boards.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's still high?
Well, no, hold on, I'll show you, I took a photograph this morning, so last Friday, it was just about creeping above the measuring stick. It's been going down steadily since, and as of this morning,
Even background music.
yeah. Okay, it is now. Oh yeah. It went down from. Let's just call it. The top of the measuring stick is 4 feet. It is now at 3 feet and a skosh above the 0.4.
Is this clamp in that picture? Or is that not where it is?
I think the clamp. You can't see the clamp in this picture, but I can tell you that it is now.
It's below the clamp.
It's below the clamp, so it's below the emergency level, 7 inches above the riser. But I was thinking we should let the water go down a little bit more so we can get photographs
Well,
of the interior.
because if you want to get a look in there, you're gonna have to let it get a little lower.
Yeah.
I looked at it this morning, and it's about an inch or 2 below the clamp. But you're still got quite a bit of water coming up over the grate, washing down. So when they come over the grate like that, they go down along the sides.
Right.
Because the grate's the sides of the dam. And if you want to get a look at the sides, you're gonna have to let it get a little lower. Because it's gonna have to just kind of come through the spillway.
Correct.
Because if it comes just through the spillway, it shoots out towards the back and drops down. But when it comes over the grate, it goes over the sides of you can't see the sides of the dam.
We need to get the water down to about the 3.2 or riser level, get a few pictures and put the boards right back in.
Right. So
then
if you want to get a look at it, you're gonna have to let it come down a little bit below the grate.
And it'll fill back up pretty quickly because there's still a lot of mountain runoff coming off. I was walking around the village district and everywhere coming off the hills was a ton of mountain runoff.
A lot of
Oh, yeah.
So I have no doubt that we will reconstitute the levels of the pond, even allowing for the water level to go down to around the riser level. And again, I'll reiterate for those concerned that the reason for this is to get photographs inside the spillway structure to see if we can see where the damage is and try and ascertain what the damage is.
Yeah.
So, do we need a motion as to when these boards go back in, at what level?
I'm gonna say
You said
no.
3.2.
I'm gonna say no lower than the riser level. If it's at the riser level, we definitely have to put the boards back in.
When you say riser, I don't know what
Top
you
of the
Okay,
concrete?
if it's the top of the concrete.
Oh,
The
okay.
top of the concrete. Ideally, we should put the boards back in around the 3.2 on the measuring stick, but I think that's kind of where it was before you put the boards back in last Wednesday. And I was looking down there and I was able to see down quite a bit, but I don't know where the damage is. I know you and Tony do, so I was hoping to catch you two before you put the boards back in.
Well,
Bring out
we're
my
not
camera,
putting them in
but I
until you
didn't.
tell us. So I mean, you like I said, you want to take. We know you wanted to take a look at it. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what you
I'd like
told
to
me.
see it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we
I'd
all
like
want
to be there to
Yes.
see it
I
before.
think, like I said, you may want it to get down a little lower, another day or so, and take a look. I mean, you can take a look now. I mean, I don't know how much you can. I was
It's
out
not,
there,
it's
but
not low enough now.
It's not low enough
Yeah.
right now. I mean, you can see a little bit of the sides, but
It's
it's
gonna
hard.
be gonna be a couple more days.
I think so. Just
So maybe we'll recess this meeting so we can all convene at the dam tomorrow at some time? Or go by individually? You think it's gonna be down enough tomorrow? Hard to say.
I'm taking a picture every day. So how about between what I do and what Tony and Jeff check, and if they say, hey, it's at the right level, they'll give us a call, and then we do a telephone call to each other to convene a meeting and get over there and take pictures.
So maybe tomorrow about really the phone call, whenever the phone call happens, we go
Right,
look at
it
it.
could be,
Yeah.
And,
could be
And
Thursday.
it doesn't have to be all of us, but yeah, as many of us as possible.
well, we all want to see it.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that
Right.
damage
right.
And it's new, Tony says there's more than,
than what
more
was.
now on the inside than there was last year when he looked at it.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, water running
Oh, yeah.
down that concrete, it's eroding the concrete.
Yep.
Where you could see the individual stones that concrete is mixed in with. So
Yep. So,
So I think.
so you're gonna call Wood'a when
Yeah.
you see that it's right at the level of the concrete, not coming over the top anymore?
Right.
Get a good look at it?
I
and
think
you'll
that's
call
when
us?
you gotta get your best look is when water isn't going over the spillway.
Yeah.
Because again, that's when
Right.
it obstructs the
Okay,
view.
but just for your info, I'm gonna be out of town all day tomorrow afternoon, but I'll be around after that. I don't think it's gonna get down that level until later
Right.
in this week.
You're
Okay.
still pretty high right
Okay.
now. You're still 5 inches over the spillway right
Yes,
now, over
yes.
the concrete.
You're a
So
little
it's
below
gonna
the
take a
emergency
while
level,
for it to
yeah,
get
right.
below that point.
Okay.
I mean, so
And I'd like to add that I think we need a reference point right now. Then we'll put the boards back in and let the summer go through. And I know the ponds will fill back up again between mountain runoff
Right.
and then into summer rains.
April
We may have to pull them
showers.
in emergency situations again. But come the next fall drawdown, we should do another set of photographs and see if we see progression. And that will give us sort of marching orders for what we need to do going forward and how to
Yeah.
correct this over the long run.
yeah.
Okay, that covers the dam.
So the dam. Okay, so yeah, so yeah, we've been breaking down the trucks. The 18 Dodge, that started to come unglued. The front wheel on the passenger side, the bearing let go. So we limped it into DPW2. We stripped it down over there. Got the spreader out. That's why that's sitting over there instead of down DPW1. It had to get hauled off to Mark Motors, so they're gonna put that back together. You know, while that's down there, the lights have been coming on for the service, the fuel filter, the oil filter, the oil. So I figured while it's there, have them give it a good service, because we found out that the aftermarket parts just don't seem to hold up as the Dodge parts themselves with that air filter issue that we had during the winter. So I thought that was a good idea. So that truck's down there. When that truck comes back, it might be wise to get the 19 down there as well, because that's due for a full service. And there is still something going on with the limited slip there, the transmission. It's shifting, it's erratically shifting climbing the hills. So that still might be covered under the work they just did. It may just be a sensor. But I think that that's gotta get checked out by them as well.
So the 2018 was towed over to.
Yes, that had to get hauled over
Because of
there.
the bearing.
Right, the tire was about to fall right off.
But the 2019 can be driven over.
We'll
for
drive it
regular-
over there. So when he tells me the 18's done, I'm gonna try to line it up where I could just drive the 19 there, leave that, and come back with the 18. And I'm hoping that's gonna happen next week, cause Tony's gonna be off next week.
I could help drive it over there if you need, if you're in that gym.
Okay. But
No,
that's-
wait a minute, do I need a CDL to drive that?
You need it.
yeah, you would,
Oh,
I
sorry.
believe, yeah, or, yeah, you'd need a DOT card.
Sorry.
Yeah,
It has all the equipment
Yeah,
on
that
it.
takes me out.
It has all the equipment.
right.
If it was just the Dodge truck itself, you wouldn't need a CDL.
Okay, so you're gonna try to do that when Tony's available?
When he's off, like I said, if I could drive the one truck there and pick the other truck up, you know, and then, cause that's next week. So that's why we're stripping the grader down right now as well. I was gonna ask about the road bands. I noticed that a lot of times Conway pulled them, Madison's pulled them. So I don't know, this afternoon I could pull the road bands if you guys think that that's okay.
The roads I've seen look dry enough.
I agree. I said that I was very pleased after that storm and the rain that we had right after the storm, how the roads held up with the little bit of gravel that's on them. I mean, I think we're in pretty good shape. They're pretty dry.
Not Diesbach. Part of Diesbach is still flooded when you make the left. If you're heading toward Big Loop,
Yeah,
and you make that first left onto Diesbach, right there's still a lot of water.
yeah.
But I think everywhere else I've been, I'm not going to say it's bone dry, but it's
No, and your shoulders are still a little soft, but I think, you know, I'd like to give
Especially
people the
Abbott.
benefit of the doubt that they're driving a big truck. They know to stay kind of in the middle of the road, you
Yeah.
know? But like I say, I know a lot of the neighboring towns are pulling theirs, so I don't know where
okay.
we want
I
to
got
do
no
with
problem
that.
with it.
I'll make a motion that we take the road band off the Idlewise roads.
I'll
Second.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0?
Okay.
You can put Nancy or me for a second. Doesn't matter. We
Because
came in simultaneously.
I did kind of talk with Ash Blunt last week too, and they were looking to get back in here, and I know I gave them permission, I think Thursday, to come back in and start taking the trees, because
They're
we all
working
saw
on
what
Idlewise
happened.
this morning.
Right, we all saw what happened during the storm. The more they could take out for us, the better.
Yeah.
That's the way I kind of seen that. And I told him, you know, as long as they're the chips from in here, that he could dump them out back on my chip pile there. So he was thankful for that. So the grader getting stripped down. So we're hoping to maybe get a little grade on Idlewise Drive tomorrow to get rid of some of those potholes. And you know, try to cut some of them out of there and do it that way. The big truck we got stripped down last week. We haven't put the gate on it yet, but that's simple, because we've been hauling the brush off with that. And we started doing that, and we'll continue to do that, but we thought maybe we could try to work on some of the potholes the next couple days while Tony's still here, and I could still kind of work some brush next week. But yeah, so I could get the gate on that at any time. We can start hauling our own material. So I know I got a load of gravel from Coleman's last week to repair that little sinkhole that we had and stuff like that. But you know, with the truck all back together, I could start hauling with our own truck and not have to have people haul for us like Mitchell or Coleman's. So that's good. The downside to the big truck is it is due for an inspection. And the tire change, tear up the tires, so it's gonna need tires. Now, one tire let go during the winter in the front. I never put the chains back on it. We never needed the truck the rest of the winter. But it is gonna need 5 tires on it now, so that's gonna cost a little bit. It's gonna need a backup light and a couple of things maybe for the inspection to pass, but it is gonna need an inspection. I think it's overdue. So we gotta get that done.
I'll make a motion that we purchase 5 tires for the International 7400.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Just a quick discussion at some point, and I brought this up to everyone before, that all 3 of us, and maybe we open it up to, obviously it would be a public meeting, have a powwow with Jeff and Tony, so they can review all the major rolling stock issues that have to be addressed short-term and long-term to preserve our equipment, especially the grader.
Yeah.
Because they told me that if we take care of it properly, we got at least another 20 years life on that. And that's an expensive piece of machinery. Would you pay for that? 300,000 back in the day?
Yeah, 286, I think.
286, and
And then interest payments.
it's probably over 400,000 today.
Yeah,
for
to
a
replace
comparable
that.
grader. So we need to keep that going for the next 2 decades, but that's only going to be done with preventative maintenance. So we need to understand that as a board, but I'd love to have anybody of the public to come and hear that too, so they understand as well. So I'm going to table that as far as, figuring out a date and time to do that, but I think that's important. We do that sometime in the near-term future.
Yeah,
Well, we
so,
kind of do that here. We
Yeah.
did it with the trucks. We're about to do it, sign these quotes for Chadwick Bayross. to
okay,
Get that guy buy parts for,
right, that way we can get the ball rolling for that.
But I just found it very useful to be there, touching and feeling the equipment, and I walked away quite greasy
I was
myself,
gonna
but
say,
that was
getting
okay.
grease on your shoulder and everything.
That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. I just call that the old management by walking around principle, and okay.
So, yeah,
There's a motion on the table.
okay.
Yeah, and then I got a question.
5 tires ballpark, roughly.
Boy, we just had that front tire put on there, like I said, a month or 2 ago. I had to take it off myself and run the tire itself over to Frechette, and they gave it to, I'm not even sure what it cost. That, like I say, there should be a bill in there somewhere on that for that one tire in the front.
When's the inspection due?
Boy, I think it was due like in October or something.
Last October.
Yeah.
It's overdue.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not positive.
And this is the second year that the October inspection was supposed to happen, and it was discovered months later that it
Right.
wasn't done.
Right, I'm not exactly, I think it's around September
So we
actually.
don't have time to research the cost of the tire before we vote. He needs to move on this.
yes.
The guy could get the truck and make an arrangement over at Albany Service to have the inspection done, and he could get the tires and everything.
What about the light issue?
The lights.
Everything else,
You mentioned something about.
Yeah, well, there might be some lights that need to be done. I know, like, the reverse lights, there might be one, and then, like I said, there's no backup alarm on that truck. That's gotten sheared off, so it's gonna need that. So there's a couple small item things as far as getting the inspection done.
so how do we vote this without knowing any numbers?
Do you have a gut feel, and nobody's holding you to the gun here? Nobody's holding a gun to your head on this?
Not to
Gut
see-
feel?
Gut feel on what it would
The
cost?
top for those tires, yeah.
I mean, I have no, going by what those snow tires cost on the Dodges, I mean, I don't even, that
alright.
seemed crazy to
I'm
me.
just, if,
But,
yeah. It's a tough question.
yeah, it's a tough question. I know, again, if we went back and 2 years ago, 3 years ago, doesn't really mean a hill of beans in today's society, but we had to have all this done. It almost seems like every time you go for an inspection on the truck, it needs the tires because the change chew them up. It almost
so we
makes
don't-
sense.
We don't have a number. We have to decide. Do you want to wait to do the inspection until we get some numbers, or do you want to vote to get this truck inspected, period? And say whatever the cost of the tires and fixing the lights are to
No,
get.
we
the
need to be
truck inspected.
proactive. I'm okay with going ahead.
He wants to use the truck to haul gravel for the spring road
Mhm.
repair.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to get it inspected, we need to get the tires on it.
I agree.
So right now, we have a motion to buy 5 tires, and I'll amend that and fix whatever else needs to be fixed to pass inspection. And that needs a second.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
We're voting this without knowing the dollar amount.
Yep,
Just,
All in favor of that, say aye.
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 Aye, 3-0.
Okay.
And I know Jeff will let us know the moment he knows.
Yeah, I will. What I was thinking here is I could call for Chet this afternoon and ask him about the tires, and get tires that way. You know, just get a price from him and have an idea, and I could let you guys know back with that. And I could also call Alan. I mean, on getting it in for an inspection, and seeing what, you know, I mean, he's gonna.
Because he'll fix the lights, so
He'll have to look at
I
the,
would suggest that you get the truck over to Frechette and get the tires on, then
Right.
bring it to Allen.
and then bring it over
Albany
here
Service Center and get it inspected and.
for the inspection. Okay.
With regard to the 18 and all the issues it has, is that normal wear and tear, or is there some legacy maintenance issues there?
It's normal wear and tear. I'm gonna think. I mean, those trucks work hard.
Okay.
I mean, the front end was done on that back in before the winter. The last summer, I think something happened with the front end there. But you know, they work hard. You know, plowing. So I got to go with that, I think.
Okay.
So I spoke with Bruce over at Allstate about the calcium yesterday, because, geez, I can't think of her name now. TJ came over on Friday with Quincy Brooks, and it looks like there's been a little bit of a transition on the calcium product that they're taking over now, GW Brooks.
Selling it?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't, again, I have never been part of the process of purchasing it from Allstate, but Bruce is definitely out of it, and so we're gonna get it from Brooks unless we wanna look otherwise, but I don't see why that would be. I believe it's $1.64, I think it's $1.57 a gallon if we could get 4,000 gallons of it.
And this is the calcium chloride that goes in the yellow tank at DPW2 that's used for dust control.
Right, exactly. Now that tank's, I believe, a 3,000 gallon tank, and our truck tank is a 750. So we, you know, for 3,000 gallons, we did end up getting a light load charge and having to pay, I believe it's $1.64 a gallon rather than the $1.57. But if I have both those tanks filled at the same time, I believe I can get it at the $1.57 from them, which I still believe has been a little cheaper even at the $1.64 from Allstate. So I think with them being as close as they are and things, we'll have a good deal with that on the calcium. I'm not sure what we bought in the past. You know, if we've gotten 1,500 gallons and then last year it was up to 2, I don't know what we ended up getting.
Is there like a typical amount of usage in any given season? How many gallons we go through in a?
Whatever we've bought, we've used.
We never have enough of it because we
Okay.
do not treat all the roads that we should treat.
Right.
Right, you know, we try to use it sparingly by mixing it, and some guys say, well, don't, it's a waste to mix it, and, you know, but, you know, I think with what we've done, it's worked well, and how we use it. You know, and the thing is, if you don't use it all, it's not going bad.
Yeah.
It'll be there for the next year if, you know.
Yeah, and some
Things
roads
don't
are
happen.
obviously used a heck of a lot more than others.
So you would like to purchase enough to fill both tanks, the tank and the truck?
Well, if we, that's the thing was, if I avoid the how do you call it, the short load charge or something like that for 3,000 or under, you get it costs a little bit more money. If
So you need the tank in the back of the truck to,
Right, I would need the tank already
Yeah,
set
but
up in the
fill
back. See, again, I'm not looking to buy this tomorrow or the next
Right,
day type
okay,
of thing
okay.
either, because we're not set up yet for it. I mean,
Right.
he could come and fill
which truck does it go in?
the 19.
Okay.
Is the flatbed was what we set up the water truck with. So, yeah, it's not something I'm gonna need right away.
And that's heading over for maintenance anyway.
Right, and that's gonna
Okay.
go hopefully next
So
week for
You'll
maintenance.
bring it up again when you're ready to go?
I'll bring this up again. I just wanted to touch base with you guys about that, because again, I've never seen the figures, but you could maybe look up last year to be able to see how much we got and how much we paid for it. But these are prices that I just got from them, because they're kind of taking over this part of that business there. And the fuel fobs, I'm still working on that. I did call the fuel distribution center yesterday, and she said that somebody must have filled out some forms online or something at some point. And there should be something, I think, in the office on that. I don't know if we could look for that. It wasn't Caitlin, so it was prior to her that this got set up with the new fobs. I found the old fobs, I found the new fobs. I have 3 old fobs, 1 for each truck. I only have 2 new fobs. They're both for the Dodges because they got the license plate numbers written on the fobs themselves, you know, the little card on the fobs. So I don't know if 3 were given to us. I don't know anything about it except that it's a new setup than what it was when I first started. But she did say that if we don't have the form to fill out, we have to fill it out again. That authorizes you and gives you a number to use the system over there at the state shed. So I don't know if we could try to look for that form in the office, if there's anything on the fobs or anything that we have. Otherwise, we have to email or download a new form, fill it out, and send it back to her or something. That's where I kind of got with that.
So ideally, we've had a fob for each vehicle? The
Yes.
Dodges and the International?
And the International.
And right now, we only have 2 fobs for each of the Dodges.
Right.
None for the
And
International.
not for the International. Right. Now, I don't see why I couldn't take the 1 fob and got it with another. I don't know how it really works. I mean, I think it all.
I thought it was associated the fob was associated with a specific vehicle.
Yeah, that might be how they set it up. Again, I'm not sure. Before I know it was a number. Like each person was assigned. Bob had a number. When I came here, I never took over Bob's number. If I went, and I only went not even a handful of times, I used Kelly's number. But now that old system's gone. So I would think that I'd be issued a number. If we got a new guy on board at some point, he'd be issued a number. Tony'd be issued a number. And then we do it that way. Because it was when we went to the pump to try to use it, the fob worked. You punch in the number. Well, we didn't have a number to punch in. I tried punching in the numbers that were written on each key, and then I realized I looked at the license plates, and that was the number for each. So this fob goes with that truck, and that fob goes with that truck. But I don't have a user number. And that's something that the woman told me was on a form that we were filled out or something like that. We have to fill out a form, and they assign us a number.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't, like I said, we have to try to see if we have that form. I mean, I would assume that form had been filled out, but I don't know. Maybe we got the fobs in the form and nothing ever happened with it. I have no idea.
Yeah, we can certainly look for that, and I would think that we would want to shut down any of the ones that we had prior and
Right,
reset
because
new
that's what I had
ones,
told the
just
woman on the phone.
just to be safe.
That we had, some turnover with the office and the department.
Right.
And that, so whatever we had, I don't know where it is, and that's when she suggested maybe doing a new form.
Yeah.
So,
We covered that?
yeah, we got that covered. And then the one other thing was the big spreader, the old orange sander for the International. Should we move forward with getting rid of it? It's just hanging in the rack. It's pretty toast. We could scrounge a few things off of it that we think we might need, and then fill it up with some other scrap metal, haul it off, and get a check for the district. I mean, it's not going to be a lot of money, but I mean, it's something.
But we should do it that way.
But that's what we should do. That way we have the room to hang, all 3 spreaders in the rack,
Yeah.
We've got 4 spreaders now, one that doesn't work that's just hanging there taking up space. So one day, like I said, we could put it in the truck, load it up with whatever scrap we got out back there with that barrel and other things like that, and then, like I say, get a couple of bucks.
Who do you take it to?
Probably got to take it to Richter's because I think North Country Recycling is done or something. They're closing up shop or
Really?
something like
Oh.
that. Yeah, something happened over there. I think some health issue with somebody or something like that. So I believe that they're out, but we'll have to go to Rickers.
Okay.
no big deal, not any further or closer,
So
so.
do we need to make a motion on this? Or just-
Well, you're not
just
gonna
it?
do that right away.
Again, it's not something I'm gonna do this week or tomorrow or something like
I
that,
think
you
you want
know?
the truck inspected before you do that.
Right. I'd rather be hauling around in a
Yeah.
decent truck.
All right, so
Um,
So you bring that up again.
But
deferred.
yeah,
business,
just something I
okay.
was, wanted to throw by the board,
Yep.
your thoughts on that?
No, it's a good
Yeah,
idea.
very good.
Yeah, okay, I thought so.
That sander lasted longer than anybody believed when we bought it, cause it was steel, it was gonna rust out.
Right, it
Yes.
wasn't a stainless steel.
So I don't know when we stop using it, but let's move on to the next subject.
Yeah, like I said, so other than that, I think I'm all, oh, the generators. We did, search up some generators here and just a couple of different options and just throwing it out there, again, don't have to make a move on it at this point. But there is one that we looked at that makes a little sense here and there, but there'd have to be a little work done. It's a big one, it's a 9,500 watt, it's a super quiet generator. What this generator would be nice for in case the power goes out, this would run DPW1 and it would run the office at the same time. And in the case of an emergency, because again, usually power's out in an emergency, a storm or something like that, it'd run the welder. You know, something broke on a truck and you had to drive it into the shop's got lights, the welder would work. It's a 9,500 watt generator. And the price on that is $22.99 for sale right now at Harbor Freight for $17.99. The problem with this is, it's got to run outside, so you don't want to, the closer to, you have to have a switch put into the breaker box,
Yeah.
so it runs properly. So there'd be some other added costs. You probably have to build a little building for it or have a little building set up
So there's no
outside.
transfer, so you'd have to buy a transfer switch as well.
You'd have to buy a
and
transfer
construct
switch
a shelter for it.
and a structure for it outside there, so there'd be some more cost to that. But that's, again, in a real beautiful world, that'd be a nice thing. Not gonna run your 3-phase pumps, that would be the most ideal, but, so, again, you get, something like that. Now, a little 1,400 watt, little quiet, little job that would run the doors, run a light, run a power tool out in the field, that type of thing. That you're looking at like $450. That,
And that'd be closer to the one that we need to replace in size?
Yeah, that one was probably a little bit bigger than this, but that's what the main usage was for that one. So this one here, that the $449 would be ideal for those type of things. So just something there, a couple foods for thought on that.
Okay. So we have prices that we can
Right.
discuss as we,
Right. I mean, ideally, something that ran everything, but I don't even want to think what that would cost. You guys probably don't want to think what that would cost to run those pumps in 3-phase power.
we don't know what was rented to run Jungfrau during the last storm.
No.
And they were getting a price on the larger one because that might be the size that they brought to Jungfrau to run the pumps in an emergency situation. So that was part of the discussion I had with these guys
Right.
when they brought up generators in a chance meeting that we had. And the smaller one was just to be able to get the doors open
Right.
in the storm, so
Yeah,
that's why you
I
got
like
those
the
two
idea of a
numbers.
bigger one, but would that be really a warrant article for next year, or is this something that maybe?
It could be something that we look at when we're closer to getting a handle on this budget, when we come out of the fog on this cyber attack and
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
see where we are with the financing for the year.
All right.
Would be my opinion, is that it's not an urgent thing that needs to buy this next week.
Right.
And we shouldn't just let it drop off the radar, we should discuss this as we get a
Right.
better handle on QuickBooks and getting statements on where we are.
Okay, so do we need to, and by we, I'm more than happy to take up on this since I'm bringing it up, to just reach out to Ian and find out what size generator he used up at Jungfrau and what the disposition of that finally was?
Well, I have
How many days and,
I have on the agenda here, under item number 5, Simply Water, to invite them to come next week.
okay,
If they come next week or the week after, or whenever they can start to come back to these meetings. We ask them to not waste their time while we suffer through this cyber attack to get things rolling again. But I think we're ready to start talking to them and get
Yeah.
answers on stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Yes.
So yeah, so besides, like I said, that stuff, and then, getting the trucks broken down and the spreaders and the wings and washing all that stuff up, put it away for the summer. I'm all set, but I want to talk about the rafts, Doug?
So we're throwing out, Doug would like to have a target date that the rafts, he can coordinate putting the rafts back in the water. And in a discussion that happened yesterday afternoon, we kind of focused down on mid-June to have the rafts go in. Doug wants to do some maintenance on the chains and possibly touch up the paint.
Yeah.
So if he had an idea of when he could work a good weather outside on the rafts, and then knew that we were shooting towards like the second Friday in June to get them back in before school's out, the water may be warm enough for people to go back into it to swim, and they'd be in with plenty of time for the 4th of July,
Right.
2 weeks before the 4th of July.
Oh, why did I hear before Memorial Day weekend when
Well,
I first walked in?
I just sort of threw that out there. I mean,
Oh,
if you guys, we're willing to help in any way we can, Doug. So, you know, you want, you know, we come up with a date and we'll make it work, you know. I mean, unless God forbid some catastrophic thing happened or something like that and we couldn't do it, but we're there to help out in any way, so.
It's
So
designed
should
to
we-
go in without getting in the water. It can be in the boat and on the
Right.
boat. We need to, once we firm up a date, the chains were protected by submerged buoys.
Yeah,
They're about 3 feet below the surface of the water, roughly, depending on the water
depth.
level. More or less. So I'll go up there a few days before with a rip rake and pull them up and get them back up to the floats to the surface, so we can literally reach out of the boat and
Right.
grab the float and pull it up.
Yeah.
Hidden out to protect them
yeah,
from
right, right.
some young people.
Yeah,
Hopefully. So
Yeah.
I haven't been out yet to look at them, but hopefully we can, they're still there, they survived the winter. This is the first test, obviously, to see how
Right.
the system's gonna work. but
yeah,
It should be pretty easy to put them out. I do wanna swap out the chain on the end opposite the ladder on each of the rafts. It was a little too short.
yeah.
I designed it for stacking, I didn't realize they were gonna stay on the beach.
Oh, right,
So I'm gonna replace them with longer chains, which will make it much easier to do the connection. And while I'm doing that, I'll check the paint. See.
Okay, so let's nail down the date as best we can right now. Are we agreeing on the second Friday in June?
That sounds good.
like I said, whatever, that will work for us.
And then we'll talk about it 2 weeks prior to getting to that date to confirm that that's when we'll do it.
So the second Friday in June is the 14th.
Flag Day.
We can put a flag on each one.
For rafts, yeah, and if that's gonna be sooner or later, like I said, we'll help in any way we can.
Yeah.
Did you wanna be out in the boat with us to learn how the system works?
Yeah,
I think we were not allowed to do that last year.
yeah, no, we'll help push it out, we'll row out there, like I said, take a look-see and,
Just need a backhoe and a tire to push
Okay.
them off and.
We all set?
yeah, that's,
Anything else from DPW?
no, that's it for me.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good week.
You too, enjoy this beautiful
Thank you, Jeff.
day.
And are you out of the hat business for the spring?
I don't know, I'd like to get some sun on my face, yeah.
Just what you got a pencil there, or was that something else?
That was there, so,
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
Take care, Jeff.
So, at 10:14,
10:12 according to my iPhone. 10:13 now.
pick a number,
10:13,
10:13.
precise time.
We have Simply Water, and as I discussed, are you ready to invite them to come back? See if they can come back next week or the week after if they can't next week?
Yeah, I would like to get a rundown on what we call a hot wash-up on what happened after the storm and the generator that was installed at Jungfrau.
I also saw that they purchased a part from Smithfield, that I don't know what the circumstances were that we bought this, I think it was a stainless steel part. So I'll come to the office and see if we can dig out that invoice that came in recently.
From Simply Water?
Simply Water purchased it from Smithfield Plumbing, and I don't know, I'd like to know what that was about. So we can, I'll see if we can do a little research on that. Do you remember seeing an invoice like that?
There was something from Smithfield, yes.
So it's a recent one. So we in agreement that we'll invite Simply Water to come back to the Tuesday meeting?
Yes,
Yes.
I don't think we need a motion for that.
no.
So maybe it's 2:14 now? That clock says 2:15. We'll move to administrators'
It's
report,
10:14 now.
10:14, still. First, I'd like to say, I think you're doing one hell of a job, really. I don't know if you would agree with me.
Oh, yeah, yeah. When I was
completely.
in, last Friday, you seem to have real command of, even though I know you were very frustrated with QuickBooks and everything, you definitely had a command of what was going on, and I'm sure it'll get easier over time.
But we're not allowing frustration in any of us, though, are we?
No.
Well,
We're
Trying not
We're
to.
trying not
trying to
to.
filter that out, but that's still
Apparently, we're humans.
gonna take time.
Yes.
Too bad.
Anything you'd like to report? Anything you'd like to talk about?
Nope.
Okay. We'll move on to old business and tabled items. And old business would be the warrant article on the Como zone. If you remember, the voters approved $25,000 budget to research, design,
Yes.
and a solution to the flow of the Como zone. And I thought we would invite Nick Skagel from Dubois and King Engineering to come and meet with us. And you've never met him, as far as I know.
No, I've never met Nick Skagel.
So, I'll make a motion that we invite Nick to come to the first meeting he can on a Tuesday.
Second,
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0? Nancy?
yes.
3-0. So now we'll move to signature items. At what time?
It is now 10:16.
So, the first on the signature items is Jeff said that the maintenance shop of Chadwick Bay Ross in Concord, New Hampshire, we already approved putting it into the budget, the $11,000 to get major maintenance work done, required maintenance done on the grader.
Right.
But for them to order the parts and schedule the towing of the grader to Concord, they need us to sign these. So there are, how many different quotes?
I think there's 3 here. I printed them all out. And
I have 4.
you have 4, then I'm missing one, so I think. And I'm just going by the grand total on each of the 3 that I have. You said you got 4? So let's find out which one I'm missing, and we'll total them up and see what it comes up to. So you've got what's that first one you have? 35602?
Yes, this is for the backlight does not work on the front display,
Mhm.
repair lighting.
Okay.
For 35602, motion to, should we do these one by one?
Probably easiest.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the quote for 35602 to fix the backlight of the front display.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. And I'll sign this. And the second one is for $5,627.23. And that is to reshim and adjust the blade circle turn assembly table, install a new Durmide wear items. So a motion to approve the quote for $5,627.23. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
What is seconds? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. So I'm signing this one.
And
The third one is, this is a copy.
so you really do have just three then?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, I didn't miss one.
And the third one is for $3,950.44. And that is to fix the brake charging warning it intermittently shows on the display. A brake charging warning light, to fix that is $3,950.44.
Oh, I'm missing that one. Okay, there was four.
Do I hear a second to approve this?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Well, can you just give me that number again?
$3,950.44.
3953, 43,
3950.44.
.44, okay. Got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0 on that. So now we'll send that to Chadwick Bay Ross, they'll order the parts, they'll call,
But I didn't
Is
hear you
there-
do this one, for the
is this this one
1202.
right
huh? They were for,
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I hadn't seen this one when I just read the last day, so. This last one is for $1,202.14. And that is to replace failed gas springs for radiator fan door. Do I hear, I'll make that motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Nancy. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
3-0. Thank you.
So what, was there another one that you don't have,
The one that Mark
that you
quoted,
have?
that it was 3,000 something?
That was
395044?
395044?
And then the last one was 120214.
That I have. So I had three of the four printed out and reviewed that. Okay. Yeah, well, when you add all these four up, it comes up to $11,136 rounded up.
That doesn't include the transportation.
I know that, I understand that. And, yeah, and I know the really big one on here, the, which one was it? The 5,627, that's,
the turntable?
yeah. That's when I met with Tony and Jeff down at DPW too, they said that thing, you know, if you overdo it,
Yep.
you can heat up the entire machine.
Yes.
So this is exceedingly important that this gets done, because again, it goes back into, this is a $300,000 piece of equipment that can last us another 20 years if we do the proper preventative maintenance on it, as well as repairs as we go along.
And there'll be more to do on top of this. But
Correct.
this is what they could identify right now, so
Right.
we need to get this done.
Right.
Here we are.
Yep.
Okay, next is the engagement letter for Divine Millimet Law Firm that specializes in giving opinions on tax anticipation notes.
Yes.
This is required by the bank. I didn't know that this was done in previous years. Do you remember this?
Only last year,
Was the first time?
because Northway requires that and Bank of New Hampshire did not.
Yeah, Bank of New Hampshire used to.
So did you hear how much this costs?
You said $25?
2,500.
Oh.
Yes.
I guess the message wasn't that good.
So what caught me on that is that we're paying, I believe we're paying $10,000 a year for an audit. And one of the features of the audit being required by statute through the DRA is to have a document that lenders can use to see whether you are qualified to borrow the amounts of money that you want to borrow. So now I'm seeing this bank requires an additional $2,500. And did you get a chance to actually read
No, I did
the
not.
engagement letter?
Yeah,
Last
I saw the
year, our-
numbers, I didn't.
Last year, our other law firm did it. So I don't know, I don't think they charge that much for that, because they were our law firm anyway, I don't know.
The letter, the engagement letter, basically covers all kinds of conflicts of interest to say that they do business with this bank themselves. They've represented this bank and they don't think rendering these opinions on TAN notes is significant against the issues that they represented the bank in other cases, that there's not a real big conflict of interest. So it goes on about conflict of interest, but it requires us to do this list of materials to be delivered in connection with the issuance of tax anticipation notes. We have to deliver to the law firm cash flow statements, evidence of working capital expenditures, general fund expenditures for the prior fiscal year, which need not be audited, tax levy for previous year, evidence of number of members on the Board of Commissioners, evidence whether the district has a seal, confirmation of whether the district reasonably anticipates issuing more than $5 million in tax exempt debt in the current year. So this may be $2,500 to cover the city of Concord, but $2,500 for the
Idolize.
village district right away seems,
Could we,
and we do all the work.
could we check with Bank of New Hampshire?
That's Northway, yeah. I'll
And
call
see
up
about the
our-
tan?
I'll call up the municipal lender from Northway
Okay,
and see, and ask her about that, because we're not familiar with it.
And are these guys the only game in town? I mean,
At
for,
the best interest rate,
But offset that by the $2,500, are they
Right.
still the best interest rate? And the amount of work we have to do.
right.
I don't know, I just heard
I think
that
it's,
today.
I think it's interesting that we're giving an attorney cash flow statements and they're rendering a legal opinion. It sounds something like an accountant would do, like an audit would do, or a CPA would do, not an attorney, but like I say, I was unfamiliar with this and now I know why.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
never
we
did it
did them
before.
through Bank of New Hampshire,
And we don't
and they
need to do it
didn't,
back in New Hampshire, so.
Bank of New Hampshire was a point higher in interest, that's why prior.
What's a point mean versus 2,500?
4.5 to 5.5,
Yes, I
for
get,
$400,000.
what's the total interest paid on the 400,000?
I don't,
Okay, so you get what, you see what I'm after is.
I understand.
Is that point less than the 2,500 we have to pay this law firm? We need to do that math.
so what is our average TAN balance, outstanding balance
How much
at
do we
any given
borrow?
time?
How much did we borrow last year?
300,
Yeah, but to calculate the interest rate, you kind of need to know what the average balance is at any, over a period of time.
how much period of time are we talking, 4
Yeah.
years? I mean, I don't
No,
have
let's
that.
just say the full year. In other words, if you were to say how much did we owe? What was our current liability on our TAN in 2023?
We get that with the 10 payoff, because that includes the interest.
Okay.
See, if we take, the way we do it is we might need 50,000 in July,
Right.
then we might need 40,000 in October. So you can't really calculate, it's not like a car interest loan or your mortgage.
No, because it fluctuates. That's why I said an average, and you can just sort of ballpark what you're paying on interest, and then
She
compare
could tell-
the
we could-
4.5 versus
We
the
could
5.5.
get the total amount we paid in interest last year
Oh, yeah.
and say, here's where we started to borrow money, here's where we paid it all back, which was December 31st.
right.
Okay, so if we took a look at what we paid in interest last year, and that was the 5.5?
4 point,
So I would like to write back, see if you agree this is where we're at. We're hesitating now that I brought
Yes.
this up.
Yes.
We're not ready to sign this today.
No.
Because we like to see some numbers.
Right,
I would like to go back to her and say, we're choking on seeing 2,500.
Yeah, and say this
And say.
is a price you
seems
charge a
out of
huge
proportion
city,
for the
not
size
a
of what
little
we're doing here and what we have to do.
backwater district.
And it may be easier for us to switch banks to somebody that doesn't require this.
right, I mean, if
So,
you're right.
are you agreeing that's where we're at?
yes,
Yeah.
That we're not gonna
Yes.
sign this today?
not signed
We're
it
gonna
today.
move on to another subject and I'll contact them.
Okay.
And
Right.
we'll dig out some numbers.
Yep, and we'll also check to see what Bank of New Hampshire is, what they're gonna require for the Tandem.
And you'll ask, wasn't the branch manager at Northway saying they were gonna contact them? Well,
I better do that.
let's contact that person and say, we're also choking on
Yeah, I better tell her.
the fact that they're requiring this and there's an alternative for us. We don't have to mention difference in interest rates, saying, we may head to the other bank because they don't require this. See what she says. 'Cause-
2,500 is a lot of interest. Paid.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes,
okay, so we're in agreement, we'll move on to another subject.
yes.
Which would be commissioners' reports at what time? That clock says 10:30 on the notice. So I'll lead off at 10:30 with my report. Was it last Friday that Patrick came into the office?
Yes.
And he made significant headway. He discovered that the problem that we were having could be centered on the fact that there were 2 Microsoft account logins, and the sheets that we had from the previous administration had 1. And I believe he started to use the other one, was able to apparently download and activate the Office products. But then we discovered there's still problems with it. As far as Outlook working on the desktop product?
Well, I think I've successfully done that this morning. We attempted yesterday, it kept running, I kept looking at it, it looked like it kept trying, but I thought it was unsuccessful until I came in this morning.
So it's still,
We'll see.
we're still not trusting things.
I'm not,
Yes.
unfortunately.
They're not rock solid like they are on
No,
desktops that I'm very
Correct,
familiar with.
yeah.
Is
So,
it strictly Outlook or the entire Microsoft suite of products?
The entire sweep of products,
yes.
correct. Because it looks like a lot of it's still like, I can access it web-based wise, but not desktop wise.
we need the desktop to
To
be
get the
fully
file-
functional.
To get into the folders.
To integrate. And we also haven't seen Carbonite fully.
Yeah, I
Restore
don't
the backup.
think that was successful, but he's gonna have to look at that.
Is he
so.
scheduled to come back yet?
I haven't called him, he didn't call yesterday, but I
Okay,
can,
he was gonna check back with us,
yeah, he's
but
gonna
he
have
probably
to
got
come
busy.
in.
Okay.
So we'll put a call into him?
Sure,
Yes. So that's where that's at. We were thinking we were in the end zone, slam dunking the ball, but
No, we're still at the 30 to
We're
20
not,
yard
yeah.
line, yeah.
Yeah.
we're 4th and long.
Yeah.
The debit card adventures continue. Over the weekend, I worked on Google accounts, and the panic was that April 15th is when the beloved rack sign-up application starts to take people registering boats. And people are passionate about that registration system, to the point that Andrew, who wrote the application, who watches it, reports that every year people start logging in at midnight on the day that the boat racks go. And I guess the thing is that you want your same exact beloved rack space every year. And it's just heartbreaking if somebody beats you to the rack space that you know and love, and you have to take 2 racks over or 1 rack up,
Right.
or
Yeah.
something like that. So it has to work. Every year, people forget their logins and say that it doesn't work. So Andrew has to email and message people and tell them how to actually do it. As of Sunday, he said that 30 people had signed up, and 30 rack spaces have been.
So it is working,
It is working.
because somebody made a complaint to the
I know.
EPOA.
I know, and I passed his message from Kerry to Andrew, and Andrew wanted the email address of the person, and I said it didn't come in that way, it came in through Facebook,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
okay.
blah. So, that's not the part that I wanted to be involved with, but I
Right,
ended
right.
up seeing what that all looks like. The fact is, one of the things you should know is that application actually runs in Google. It doesn't run on our website.
Right.
Doesn't run on our computers. And we pay a separate fee to Google for Google Cloud where there is software development tools called VM, which usually means virtual machine. So apparently we pay $28 a month to run this Google app, which gets used at this time of year and maybe through the rest of the summer as the laggards come in and want to sign up for whatever available spaces there are. And I think at some point we let people get a second rack if there's spaces left. I don't have a rack space, so I've never used the application, so I don't know. What you need to know is the debit card was paying a separate fee to Google to keep that application running. And Google let me change the two-step verification to my phone, but then announced that it wouldn't let me actually use it for 7 days, which pushed me right up to the 14th. And yesterday, it actually called and left the verification number on my cell phone, and I was able to get the credit card number, the debit card number in there, and apparently it's working. Now, the phone number is my number, and I guess it wants to send a text message. So Andrew sent this old phone that his family doesn't use, and it's an Android, and I think he's saying that it doesn't need to have a telephone service, that it can be used for verification, which I don't exactly understand because I don't use that kind of phone at all. But it arrived yesterday. He sent a phone, donated a phone, and when he gets back from Costa Rica, he's in Costa Rica on vacation, and at 8 o'clock in the morning from his beachfront thing, he's handling issues with canoe rack registration in New Hampshire that's trying to lift the road bans.
Okay, so let me make sure I got this straight. Google is now getting paid off our current debit card?
Yes,
Okay,
it was always paid off a debit card.
right, but the old debit card we shut
away.
down.
Yeah.
So we have a new debit card, and we're still in the process of changing everything over to a credit card, but we're not there yet.
Right.
So it's, okay.
Yep.
So yes, once we have the credit card, anything that is currently coming through the debit card will get
changed over,
swapped.
as we discussed last week, yes,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, so now there's a second Google account that we pay off the debit card, and that is for the camera system called Nest that Google owns now.
Yes, Google owns Nest, yep.
So you pay an annual fee to that, I think, and that got shifted over. I thought I was shifting over the canoe racks when I took care of the account, but apparently that's just for the cameras. So we pay to one account to Google for the cameras, we pay another Google account for the canoe rack software hosting. Okay, so those are all squared away, they're on the new debit card. Yesterday was GoDaddy.
Oh.
We were getting notifications that the domain name was being parked. We were late on the payment on that because that was on the debit card that went away.
Mm-hmm.
So GoDaddy let me change the phone number also in the middle of it, without making me wait 7 days, to my cell phone to do their two-step verification. I was able to log in, change the credit card to find out that it wasn't the domain VDOE-nh.org. It was another domain that the village owns called VDOE-nh.com. We have two host names. Did you know that?
No.
Nope.
I thought you said a road commissioner might have done that.
Well, regardless of that, right, apparently you do that to protect somebody
Somebody
getting a
else
hold of
doing it.
VDOE-nh.com and making people think that they're on the VDOE website, but you're actually on their website, because com is something people default to. Even if you know there's supposed to be org, out of habit you might type com.
Right.
Correct.
So we pay $54 a year to own and protect. It's $27 to own VDOE-nh.org, and then there's a $32 ultimate protection package on top of that brings the total cost to $54. I don't know what you get for the ultimate protection package, but it costs more than the actual host name. And we pay that not only for .com, but we pay for .org. So both of those are paid. I decided to pay for the .com because
It makes sense. At first I said, oh, we can let that go away, but when you explain it, that makes perfect sense. You're right, there's, as we well know, there's vicious players out there in the cyber world.
so that's the credit card, debit card game to date. I don't know
What might
who's gonna
happen.
notify us. Now, I was planning on bringing the debit card to Staples because you need to get blank USB drives, flash drives
Yes.
for the contracted bookkeeper.
Yes.
But I don't know whether you need the debit card to do this Eversource transaction as soon as possible.
It-
When is that gonna
Yes.
happen? When do you wanna do that? Are we doing
I
that?
think we were hoping to do it today, but regardless, the one that's in jeopardy of being disconnected should be done as soon as possible.
So that's the priority.
Yeah.
You'll take the debit card from me back to the office and I will pick it up when you're done with it and go to Staples and get what we need from Staples for the contract bookkeeper.
Okay.
And Dinah, did I hear you say you can get a temporary increase on the debit card, like within the hour?
So, I was gonna do it for 8,500, but if you could do other things. If you wait till tomorrow, it resets, so. If you don't need your,
Yes.
it's a limit per day. So once I increase it, you get all those paid, tomorrow's another day with a new,
It defaults to the original limit.
it defaults, I can leave it on for a couple of days, but I don't wanna do that.
Did we vote on changing the limit to a certain number?
Nope.
No.
No, but I thought the intent was to just, that number we came up with was 8,448.74. We just take care of it all in one fell swoop.
So you're gonna raise it to 8,500 today?
That's my, up with
And
my
she needs to
plan.
get confirmation from you that it's okay to use the card to actually make the payment.
There was a motion on that,
To 8,500?
yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Would have seconded and then it was approved.
Yeah, 3-0.
Thanks.
Should she wait? You won't know whether they've actually done the increased limit. I don't want her to get caught giving them the card number and
Right.
the limit's not
She
changed.
won't do that till I call her and tell her it's all set.
Okay. I think that's enough of my commissioner's report.
Okay, I'm going to put on my deputy village clerk hat, and Doug will want to know this too, but I was wondering how quickly we can proceed to act on the warrant article that was approved to start doing the electrical, lighting, and door work on the cabana for the record storage area. So I can start lining up the vendors on that. So I'm not familiar.
Oh, yeah, we can,
You
once
make a
it's
motion.
been passed, you can do it anytime, but if you wanna make a motion to do it, then,
Okay, yeah, I would like
So
to make a
here's
motion.
the only thing you can consider if you want to start thinking to the next level with being a commissioner is cash flow.
Yeah,
The sooner you start spending money, the sooner we need to do a TAN.
correct.
And it's a matter of having cash flow in your mind in the background and when do you need to start doing things? Like, do you want to start getting quotes from people or what do you want to do?
I already have the quotes. I know what,
You know who you want to,
I know who's gonna do it, how much it's gonna cost within, a certain contingency range. If we need to wait, that's a very good point, until the next set of payments come from taxpayer money.
But do we wanna work in that place with electricity that doesn't work?
No, of course not.
well, they're not ready to go back up there this month.
No, but we go before
Or not.
August.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, people would like, there's gonna be a sweet spot in there before it probably gets too hot in there.
How about this? Do you want to take a week and think about this, that we're saying that we could say, go now, next Tuesday, and you figure out exactly what you want to do when? Or are you ready now?
I'm more than happy to take a week. I guess what you're saying is from a cash flow perspective, since I don't have a pulse on where we stand with that, because obviously, when we're back up running normal, we're gonna be doing a monthly review, right? A variance analysis against budget to actual spent,
Yes.
okay? But there's also a timing of when we get monies, our funds in from tax payments.
In July will be the next round.
July will be the next round.
Or tax anticipation note, the first draw down on the tax anticipation note,
Okay,
which we're not ready to do either.
right. So,
How much is it again?
the warrant was for 7,500, that uncovered, I don't think it's gonna cost that much, but that's what the warrant covered.
Are my cash flow expensive, we can absorb that?
Can?
I mean, it's not like $30,000.
No,
Right.
it's chump change in the big scheme of things. But at the same time, I don't wanna,
But if we wanna start volunteering and going up and getting going on that again, we want the work done before we do that.
correct. All right,
Yeah, so I would think we would wanna at least get on their schedule.
so I would wanna bring the electrician in first before I bring in the individual who's gonna do the doors for security and all that. Okay?
So we're gonna make a motion to start the electrician working?
I'd like to make a motion to contact the electrician and get that lined up. And I'll get back on the board next week when he thinks he can get in and do it.
Second.
Any further discussion? The motion to get going with the electrician for the cabana, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Thanks. I'd like to go back, and there's one major thing I forgot when you're done with yours.
I'm done with mine now.
So yesterday afternoon, I participated in a Zoom meeting with a citizens group that gets together. And it was in regards to a subject that you brought up of having people volunteer to be on advisory boards. And specifically, it was about advisory boards, and it turned into a more generalized discussion from just the water system. Because we also talked about communications. You brought up the gentleman that met you on the
Eclipse,
road
yep.
and said
Mm-hmm.
you want more. So a summary of it was that we should kind of restructure away from the classic water advisory board type of thing and have a central group that discusses everything that the village is doing. And the idea of all three commissioners being part of that was a feature that the small group agreed on yesterday afternoon. So it would be that means it's a commissioners meeting, but it's a commissioners meeting just for, there'd be these types of meetings where it's structured against the agenda. It would be an advisory type of general cracker barrel discussion that actually has sub-teams in it that focus on very specific issues, like possibly communications, like roads, like specific water system issues. And we would list all those out. And it even got down to the details of, if it happened in this room, that we could possibly have Madison TV be here, and we could have Zoom for people that weren't at the meetings to participate, and it would be a round seated structure where everybody's talking to each other. It's not the commissioners at the front of the room, and it's
Right.
this type of audience, that it's an open discussion. So I said that I would bring this up and introduce this type of concept, and one of the comments that was made by somebody who was on a communications committee and wrote many newsletters during that said there's never enough communication to satisfy everyone. She wrote lots of newsletters.
Yep.
And people said that's not enough, and that committee just kind of dissolved.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've seen that happen before. And there's many different communication channels that are going on.
Absolutely.
Like the fact that Carol's recording this. The attendance on YouTube watching these things is, someone told me it was around 40
Nice.
people were watching these things. And there's the emails from the EPOA, there's the emails from the village that could come back again with Chimp. and then there's just word of mouth. So, so that's where that went, and so, I said that we would need time to come out of the cloud of this cyber attack and catch up on everything we need to catch up on. So I said that we would talk about this again at the VDOE annual meeting, and I said that it sounds like all three of us intend on being there.
Yes.
The VDOE annual meeting?
Yes.
EPOA.
The
EPOA.
EPOA annual meeting,
Okay,
Memorial Weekend.
yeah.
And, by the way, they think that the EPOA Board of Directors met and sent me an email and copied the office. They discussed the idea of doing the water presentation, and that's not the time and place that they want to do that. They're more interested in having the three of us talk about what's currently happening in the village, like all the stuff that we're talking about today,
Okay.
which I get.
Right. As I understand it, they want a very high-level presentation, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then a 10, 15-minute Q&A for anybody who wants to ask questions, which I agree with. I mean, let's not get down into the weeds. Let's give the broad picture.
Yep,
And that the water presentation is an entirely separate meeting, which,
right.
yeah.
I agree with that too.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, that's where we can introduce this idea that we're gonna flesh out about how we're gonna have a citizens group advisory that's gonna be on that level as a larger group. And then people that are interested in various topics, like some people are interested in finance, other people's ears glaze over when financial issues
Exactly.
start to be discussed. And are very interested in roads, some are interested in water, some are very interested in beaches and trash and outhouses and amenities like that, which the EPOA in their charter is interested in that stuff. So the discussion happens here, and then we're ready to make a presentation on the idea to the EPOA as part of that general discussion. And then in June, hopefully, we're actually starting to have our first meetings, commissioners' meetings that aren't this kind of agenda.
Nice.
No, I-
And at times and dates that are convenient to working people and,
Right. No, I only brought that up last week, and yes, I was thinking in the paradigm of committees for individual areas, but I like this better. But my main thrust was, we certainly have a lot of very, very smart people out there, and we need to tap that as a resource, and let people focus on those areas that they're interested in and can bring value. Because there's no way any board of commissioners, let alone this three, can do it all. We need solid advice from these smart people who may have really functional professional experience in the areas that we're looking at.
Yeah.
That was the only reason I brought that up and been advocating for it. So I like this idea a lot.
there is to give you an example, there is a biological environmental engineer that has a second home on Geneva Place. And through emails, he was very helpful to me when we first got notice that the Muddy Beach well was showing traces of uranium in its 3-year test. And I never met the guy. This was all done through meeting him on Facebook through the private group, and then went to emails, and we went back and forth, and he gave me information, and we reached a joint conclusion based on me researching the drought patterns for this area, that the uranium showing up at Muddy Beach was directly related to whether there was a drought the year before the 3-year test was done. And he said, well, the charts that you found online about Cowell County and correlates directly to when the state tests said that that well is showing uranium. Never had to come to a meeting, that was all done.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful.
So if we look for things like that and then to discuss it with the group that is meeting, then everybody has a good idea of how involved it is to run this little village district.
Yeah.
So sorry, thanks for letting me back.
No,
on that.
that's great, that's great.
Well, about it, I
That's-
swore to these guys that I would bring it up.
Yep.
Nancy,
Okay. Had a conversation with Ian
Oh.
Hayes yesterday afternoon. He said anytime, so we can send him an email to invite for next week, or the week after. He is gonna have the books brought to the office either Thursday or Friday when they do their rounds, so that we can fill in the missing days where we weren't able to get the water usage, because nobody was in the office on a daily basis at that time. So the books in the pump houses have that information, so it'll just be a matter of them bringing them to us, making some photocopies, they'll take their books back, and then we'll be able to finish the first quarter water usage reports and get them set up for DES. They're not due in DES until the beginning of May, so, or the middle of May, so we do have a little bit of time, but I figured if we at least, you know, since I was talking to him, I said if we at least get the books, we can start making the copies and getting things ready so that we can fill in those missing days.
Okay.
The other thing is, he asked about work orders, and I told him we weren't there yet. So I did tell him that there were 2 people looking for turn-ons, seasonal turn-ons, and he said okay, and he was gonna take care of that. He did ask about work orders, and I said, well, we're not there yet, because we did try to look at Excel and some of the other information in the cloud version that we're using now, or whatever we're using right now for the office products, but we couldn't find the desktop folders. So I
Yes.
don't know if that's a different setup or if it's something that gets automatically backed up. I don't know how that works. But we weren't able to find the actual district folders in Excel for things like the work orders, or for in Word, to find even a master, which is why we also didn't have full, cause setups for the normal, for the payroll and that stuff, cause we're not able to access that information at this point, and I don't know if that's something that the new IT person will be able to work on, or
I think that will
how,
come back with carbonite.
that'll come back with carbonite?
That's what
Well,
I'm
I
guessing.
think that's what
That could be-
we were assuming
Yeah.
that after that.
That it might
would come back.
fix, that it might work, but
Correct.
He started carbonite restore
Yeah.
from the cloud, and the amount of stuff that has to come back from the backup in the cloud was gonna take more than a day. So he set up one of the accounts, login accounts, to just be doing that in the background, and had Jennifer using the other login account so she could do daily work. And she looked at it, that was kicked off Friday.
Yeah,
When she looked at it, it looked like it either hadn't finished or went off the rails. And
it kind of looked like it had failed at some point.
so we need to bring him back and have him see what happened to it.
right.
I don't know if he
Yeah,
can,
there's quite a few things.
he needs to, he's gotta address some more issues. Like I said, we're fourth and long and without moving.
Nothing is ever clean,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
So
did,
anyway, go back to your story.
yeah, so I did let Ian know that, we're still not there yet. He was asking about the phones and some other things, and I was like, oh, well, actually, we found out that the phones were a non-pay issue from the card versus the, closing the bank account and some other things. And he said that he went through at his office a similar thing a couple of years ago, and it took him like almost 3 months to have everything completely identified, because some things come in quarterly.
Yeah.
That we might not be aware of yet. They could still be out there attached to the old account. And we won't know that until we get told that it's getting shut off sometime in the future. So I did let them know where we're at with that. Because we are not set up to do it at this point. Ian is going to do the CCR, the Consumer Confidence Report for the district. They are required every spring, and they have to be approved by and sent to DES. So he is gonna start working on that, and of course, with last year's hit on the uranium, there'll be something about that in the CCR that we are gonna be required to put in. And Ian has that wording. So he said that, I said, we're not there to do that right now, so he's gonna do that. And it's usually a combination of both of us, but we will certainly see it before it's ready to be released and have any input that the commissioners might have from it. He was also gonna send an email with contact info for his office. I just have the primary phone number that I've had for 15 years, that I contacted him with, but apparently he has an office set up now, and that should be the primary contact number. So I wanted to get, once we have that, once we receive that, we will distribute that to the Board of Commissioners so that we all have the proper contact information to get in touch with the water operators. The books, and I did ask him about when to come in, and he said possibly next week or the week after, so we'll send him an email for next week.
Okay.
And that's my report. I
Yeah,
think that was enough.
During the power outage, yeah, I had two numbers for him. One was sort of like an office number, but the other was more of a direct emergency number. And the office number, of course, was a recording, and the emergency got me right through to Ian, which was
Right.
good. It was good to talk to him directly during that particular crisis or potential crisis.
Yeah.
Luckily, it never developed
Yeah,
into
yeah,
that.
he said he doesn't always have it, have that phone with him.
Yeah. He did that day.
He did, well, because he knew there were multiple emergencies happening at that point. So we'll have all the proper, but I think it's important that all of us have all the proper contact information for him in his office and for the guys,
Okay. Yep, that's important.
Anything else?
Nope, that was yes. He did say that we're seeing a lot of information about lead in the water system, lead pipes and things of that, from DES. He said that, one, don't freak out when you're reading some of that stuff. None of this stuff is due until next October. And it is something that he will be doing a lot of the work on it.
October 2024?
Yes.
This coming October?
Yes. Some of it's on homeowners' requirements, so there might be a certain percentage of houses that we need to have a water operator person go in to take pictures to see what the piping is going into the house. So he said that when you're reading it, it reads very confusing and very urgent. And he said it's really not, and it's something that they will be working on over the course of the summer to make sure that we have all the proper information to send to DES.
Yeah, I spoke to someone at DS who then referred me to the contractor, because a company called Arcadis that is doing the surveying of the lead lines. And basically, they just want whatever documentation we have to show where any lead pipes might exist in the system, and if we don't have any, it becomes an unknown. But they basically said they don't want to hear the answer that there is no lead lines in the system. They want whatever documentation that can be provided, and then go forward from there.
The first houses in Edelweiss were built long after lead pipe was being used. They did discover lead piping in North Conway
Right.
from the beginnings of the North Conway water system.
Well, I asked that question, and they said the state of New Hampshire did not outlaw lead piping until 1989. So that's why I was like, ooh, well, you know, a lot of the buildings started taking place in the mid-60s here. So,
Yeah,
I
like
don't
I said, but the water operator is working on that type of stuff to make sure that we get the right amount of people's houses looked at. Some of them will be the older houses. I would expect one on Upper Lakeview and one on Edelweiss Drive to be some of the older houses in the district that we'll try to work with them to get some pictures of how the water goes in, you know? Although she has a well, so she won't qualify on Edelweiss Drive because the oldest house in the district is on Edelweiss Drive. But yes, and they have been keeping records. They didn't used to keep records on what was being put into the house, because we weren't required to.
Right.
But they have been for the last few years. So Ian will be able to transfer any of that information to the
okay.
people that need it.
Because Arcadis did tell me, a woman named Michelle said that what she could start doing was contacting the town of Madison to find out which homes in the village district of Edelweiss were constructed after 1989. So you can automatically rule those out completely once we identify which homes those are. And whatever's before that,
Right,
maybe,
right.
probably not, but maybe.
Yeah, I'd say it's highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely.
My house was built in '72, and the connection out to the curb stop was the black plastic pipe. And I don't know of any
Yep.
occurrence of anybody digging something up and saying, oh, look at this lead piping in Edelweiss.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
So anyway, anything else, Nancy?
That was it.
So I have this thought. We should get in contact with Tom of the Skater Company, and I should learn the name of that company.
EII.
I should learn what those three letters stand for.
That too, yeah.
And what do you think about the idea of you contacting him and saying that we'd like to meet with him when it's convenient? We need to finish up that grant that was started that I know very little, if anything, about, other than I know where the equipment is and I have learned from Andrew what we have.
Okay.
But the last leg of it is a PC that needs to be purchased. And do you think you'd be willing to contact him, because you've talked to him before and Wooder and I have never met the guy?
Yes.
Does it make sense that you would contact him because
Yes.
he knows you? And I'm thinking that we meet with him at the office in a non-public session because of security issues.
Correct.
And reputation issues, because we'll be discussing things like that. And the whole idea of that $25,000 grant was the security of the system, and to be talking about it in public doesn't make any sense to me. And it's actually to stop terrorists
Yeah.
by definition.
You don't want to broadcast your
The
protective measures.
federal government came out and said that there's Chinese agents and Iranian agents that are making a career out of attacking water systems in the United States, and that's exactly what this $25,000 grant was that we need to finish. So, if that's okay with you,
Yes.
whenever it's convenient with him, we'll put him on the agenda. This isn't something that has to be done immediately, but we should do it. Should have a game plan long before the August deadline for the grant
Oh, yeah.
runs out.
Yeah.
So it's time. But let's get that on a burner. So that concludes commissioners' reports. If nothing else popped into your head. Next subject will be correspondence, which we don't think we have anything that we need to talk about. Public appearance, public comments. Kind of discussed everything we needed to discuss. There's no non-public session, so I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I thought we were going to recess until we were gonna go to the dam, even if that's a day or 2 days from now.
Yes, we could do it that way? Yes.
Yeah, I don't know which, you tell me which way's better.
That, what, it seems like it's semantics now.
Yeah,
Um,
and we don't have a time and date that we're gonna go
We
look
just,
at.
we don't know when that's gonna happen.
Correct, so we would need to post it 24 hours in advance.
that's
If we
how- that's right.
recess this.
You don't have to post it.
We don't have to post it because it's a continuation of this meeting.
Ah, well, then,
And then if we get a call tomorrow afternoon, we can all meet there and do it then,
okay.
you know?
Already told Jeff, not tomorrow afternoon, I'm not around.
Oh, okay, well, Friday, Thursday or
Friday.
something,
Yeah, yeah,
you know?
okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So how do we word that?
You make a
adjourn the
motion to
meeting
Make,
until
make,
Thursday
make
at
a
the dam?
motion to put this meeting into recess until the dam inspection?
On Friday.
Friday would be great.
Tomorrow's Wednesday, you're not around Wednesday.
I'm not
afternoon.
around.
Thursday you are. So
Thursday?
It could happen on Thursday.
It could have, yeah, okay, until Friday. So in other words, you're saying that if it doesn't happen by Friday, we'd have to actually restart a whole new meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
there's something not right about this, because there's no time involved, we're not, so the public doesn't know when this is happening, so
Well, why don't, I think it'll be ready by Friday, so why don't we just pick a date and time on Friday and just do it?
that works.
That works.
Okay, and hopefully it will be, we don't know for a fact, but we're gambling that it's gonna be down to a level that we can really see inside. And if it isn't, then we'll just figure out another plan.
So tell me the time on Friday that we're reconvening for this meeting. That Nancy will be up and coffeed and ready to go.
Up and coffeed and ready to go. So we're the 16th today. Let's think about where the sun is, because you
Lighting to see in the dark hole,
Right.
right.
high noon.
I mean, that side,
Okay, correct.
that side of the wall that's impacted, my gut feeling is that's facing west.
The part towards, the part that's
It's
facing towards where Little Shore Drive runs,
yeah,
that's east, so the west sun would be shining on the inside wall of that. That's what you want.
yeah. So
The sun would be up over the playground shining in on what you want to see.
okay. So what's the best time for that then? I'm flexible anytime that day.
1 o'clock?
All right, 1 p.m.
This meeting will be recessed until 1 p.m. and reconvene at the dam, 1 p.m. on Friday. And there'll be huge throngs of people showing up to join that meeting.
Okay, well, now hold on. There's one other factor.
Good thing they fixed the railing.
Let's just quick take a look at the weather. Although,
Rain,
oh, it's gonna rain? Well,
showers, off and on.
all right,
Low probability.
okay.
I think it starts later in the day to Saturday, so it'll be cloudy anyway.
All right, so let's all just bring powerful flashlights to stick down there. We'll take some photos and,
So the motion's been made to reconvene this meeting Friday at 1 p.m. at the dam. Does it have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Thanks, Jennifer.
All right, and there's no non-public today?
Nope.
Okay.